Here we are again. It's Rise to Offend interview portion. I am Brandon Gooch, Hahn, and I'm joined by comedian Ben Gleib. Very famous gentleman. He's been featured over 100 times, one of these stars of Chelsea lately, a regular on the show. He's going to be appearing in Jay and Silent Bob's new cartoon movie, Kevin Smith's new animated film. We'll be talking more about that in just a little bit. And he's one hell of a comedian. It's Ben Gleib. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing real good, man.
Yeah? Good to see you, Gooch.
You too, man. Busy. I see that you're busy all over the place now.
I'm trying, dude. Yeah, plugging away, working too hard, working 9 to 5, pushing 10, making dreams.
Right.
Occur.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
No, because you said you're working 9 to 5.
No, I'm not actually. I'm working like ridiculous comedian hours.
Right.
But like, working 9 to 5 is like a phrase that means like you're working it.
Right, of course.
Isn't that back in the day? Wasn't that a show called 9 to 5?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I'm like one of those waitresses.
But you're more like I could see that you're more of like a 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. kind of guy.
That is true. Yeah, well, not even 3 p.m. I don't even sleep that much. I wish. I'm really more of like an 11 a.m. to 5 a.m. kind of guy.
Right.
It's pretty much my schedule.
Jesus.
Yeah, I sleep a good 4 to 6.5 hours a night, and just plug it. I'm always trying to do things, and when I'm not doing them, I try to dream about work, so I can develop film ideas or bit concepts in my dreams.
Now, let's talk about your podcast.
Sure.
It's very successful. Are you making money off this podcast right now?
No, not really making money off it. No, I had a sponsor for a minute, but that sponsorship term ended, and I haven't been actively looking for it because I don't have a team. I'm by myself, really doing it, writing it each week, and it summarizes all the news events of the planet every single week. So I'm like trying to be like a one-man news bureau, reporting stories and adding comedic commentary to it. I don't really have a lot of time left, and I do it solo most weeks, but I book guests sometimes. Not a lot of time left over to have an advertising department with my own hours as well. So I need to get a new assistant going and help diversify my time, because it'd be nice to make money because it's a lot of work.
Right, of course. It's called The Last Week on Earth. It's available
on Earth.
Kevin Smith's network, Smodcast.
Yep, you get it on iTunes or Stitcher on your phone for free every single week. Smodcast.com. And it's a lot of fun, man. I've had some enormous guests, and when we do solo episodes, it's just me, and that's less thrilling. It's less thrilling.
See, I find that pretty amazing because I do a podcast every week. I have 2 other guys.
Right.
We try to produce bits, and, we do talk about the news, and basically just a lot about our lives and everything.
Right.
And that takes about an hour, and that's hard.
Yeah.
You go for about an hour, 20, maybe an hour and a half, something like that, by yourself, and then if you have a guest, it even goes longer.
Yeah, my solo ones are about 45 to an hour 20, and then with the guests, it can approach closer to 2 hours. And, it's thorough, because when I have guests on, I cover the news, I cover their careers, I chat a little bit, and I do some solo stories, do stories with them. They join me for the news. It's a lot to cover.
Right, and you had Bryan Cranston on that show.
Yes, I did.
At the height of Breaking Bad, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Walter White himself came to my little apartment in Hollywood and sat down for 2 hours. It was my favorite episode, probably. It was incredible. He was so great. And then I got Bob Odenkirk. Cranston then booked me Bob Odenkirk a few months later. And Odenkirk came to my apartment as well. Better Call Saul.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Of course, comedy legend as well.
Of course, Bob and Tom.
But people these days.
Not Bob and Tom, Mr. Show.
Mr. Show with Bob and David.
That's what it is, yeah. But you've also been on Bob and Tom as well. But
I love Bob and Tom.
But
Great guys.
So you get these guys on the show, and where does Ben Gleib, the comedian, stop and Ben Gleib, the broadcaster, begin when you start doing this? Because there are two totally different things.
They are. It's a fine line. It's a hard line to balance because one hand you have your comedy legend Bob Odenkirk, one of your heroes in your apartment. You want him to think you're funny, and you want to be able to spar with him and riff with him. But you also want to get to know what his life's about and really get to know his process as an actor and as a comedian. And I just try to do both. I try to walk that line and have a moment. That's the benefit of having a long podcast, is you can do all of it. So there were sections in there we were talking about craft. There were sections we were talking about acting, about Mr. Show. We were talking about whether he uses drugs or ever has as part of his process, whether it's hard, whether he loves acting more than comedy. We get real in depth with that stuff. Then he joined me for serious stories, and I was trying to, get his thoughts on real serious politics. And then I intentionally put in a bunch of silly stories at the end in my Thunder Round where he and I could just riff some wacky, surreal comedy, because I know that that's one of his strong suits, and it was like a privilege to be able to do that with him. So I just try to fit it all in. I just try to do all of it. And I don't know if that's the best key to success, because oftentimes people, it seems these days, really like one particular thing from somebody and like to tune in for a certain thing, but that's just not who I am, so I'm just going to keep doing how I do it, which is a little bit of everything. And I like to have people have an experience that runs the gamut when they listen to my stand-up or my podcast.
Now, how do you introduce politics into an interview? Because that's got to be a difficult thing. Because for example, like, you're a liberal dude, and but you're not crazy liberal.
Right,
but
yeah.
but it's like, but you are liberal. And sometimes the second you bring that up, people just automatically turn off. I mean, I read an article about Ben Affleck. He said anytime he sees a conservative actor, he can't watch the movie because he's too busy thinking about what the guy is thinking about the state of the country and what we should do and as a nation, what direction we should go.
I feel like that's a little bit extreme from a guy who's expecting us to believe him as Batman. He's got to be able to suspend his disbelief a little better than that. But I just think, firstly, you have to keep an open mind, and I'm probably more liberal than conservative, but I've got opinions on and issues that I have opinions on both sides of the aisle. And I think that we're too polarized, and we can't always just go straight blue and red. I mean, our political parties should not have the same colors as Bloods and Crips, first of all. So I think we just need to be open-minded and talk to each other, not make it so antagonistic. So I try to come at it from a very open-minded, non-aggressive way when I'm talking about it with a guest. If it's just me by myself, I'll share my own opinions more strongly. But when it's the guest is there, I let them speak their mind and then just try to debate towards common ground rather than trying to prove my point at all costs.
And you're right. You did bring up the fact the Bloods and Crips, and it's really getting that bad too.
I mean, it is. Honestly.
It's getting scary.
Yeah, I would rather have lunch with Bloods and Crips than with John Boehner and Harry Reid.
Right.
They've probably got a lot more stories and there'd be much hotter bitches walking around.
Of course, and they're going to probably hear more truth.
That's the truth. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. They're not politicking. They're not trying to filibust anybody.
Right. Oh, I like
filibuster
I
anybody.
like that slang you just threw at me.
Yeah,
very G. Yeah. Very G.
Thanks, bro.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you got movies coming out here. Kevin Smith, you're going to be doing another animated flick. You were in one of the Ice Age movies.
Yeah, I was Marshall the Sloth in Ice Age Continental Drift, which just became the #1 animated movie of all time internationally.
Now, do you get parents coming up to you going, "Hey, could you do me a favor and say hi to my kids?"
After my shows, they ask me to leave messages for them. Actually, right now, there's the end couple weeks of this Indiegogo campaign that I'm doing to help this company called Live Your Love Tea to help these villages in Sri Lanka. And if you donate just $20 to this, and it's on my Twitter, but you can also just go to Indiegogo.com/liveyourlove, I believe is the link. You can pay $20 and I'll record a voicemail for you or any audio message that you want. You can script it or I'll script it, and you also get boxes of tea with that, because I didn't feel like people would want to pay a lot for just my voice, so I asked them to throw some tea in there.
Right.
But yeah, you do. You get people asking you to do the voices, and it's a privilege though. It's incredibly. Back in February, I did the Oscar road trip. It was the first time the Academy Awards ever had an Oscar travel the country, and myself and my co-host Andrew Greenup started on Good Morning America in New York, and for 3 weeks in an RV went across the entire country, zigzagging up and down, back and forth, 22 or 23 cities in those days, and did events where people could meet the Oscar, hold the Oscar, take their picture, and I would do media and press in each city, and did all the big outlets as well, like E! News and all this. And the best highlight it was such a surreal trip. The highlight of the whole thing was we stopped randomly in the house of these movie fans, and with the Oscar, to surprise them with an Oscar at their house. This woman with her 3 kids, and they were watching Ice Age Continental Drift at that exact time.
Right.
And when they found out that I was the voice, they flipped out. They had my lines memorized. They were saying them out loud. I had them cue it up, and I did my lines back to back with the movie. They were flipping out. It was like they were saying it was the greatest moment of their life, and to be able to bring that kind of joy to a kid, because it really wasn't that great a moment in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
But for them, it was everything. It was such a cool thing to be able to bring them that kind of joy, and I try to hold on to that joy, because the money I got paid for the film was not that great.
Right.
So you got to hold on to joy.
Right, of course.
Joy don't pay the bills, but it gets you through.
But it builds up your heart. Makes it 3 times too big, like the Grinch went afterwards.
My heart bank account is overflowing.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You're doing backstrokes in your heart money bin.
You better believe it. Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck.
I'm drowning in my heart. You understand what I mean?
I totally get what you're talking
Good.
about.
Okay, great.
But that's got to be pretty gratifying, though.
It was cool.
But you got this new movie coming out here now.
Oh, let me say one last thing about the Oscar thing. So we end up on the Oscar red carpet, and I got to walk the Oscar red carpet, the huge red carpet, with the Oscar. And Angie and I are the only two people in Oscar history to lose an Oscar on Oscar night. It was taken away from us. I got a little piece of Oscar history there. And then during the show, you get super drunk because there's open bar throughout the whole Oscars. And we got invited to the Governor's Ball as well, which only half the people who go to the Oscars get to go to the Governor's Ball. Right. So it's an even more exclusive ticket to go to the Governor's Ball. And I'm plastered at this point, and I'm walking into the Governor's Ball, happy walking in right alongside Steven Spielberg and his wife, Kate Capshaw. Mm-hmm. And I walk right up alongside him, and I literally, like a drunken idiot, said to Steven Spielberg, "Sorry I haven't been able to do your movies, bro. I've been real busy."
Right. Did it get him to laugh at least?
No, he was confused. Awkward smile, and he walked the other direction quickly.
Yeah, just kind of shuffled along.
Yeah, shuffled.
Did like a speed walk. Now, when you do the red carpet Oscar event, are you surprised at how some of these people look in person? I mean, you get up close and, I don't know, like you see... It's got to be pretty surreal, especially like when you see some of your most favorite heroes and stuff. And then on top of that, you're already in the business and you kind of want to be known. Yeah. I mean, is there something in the back of your mind where it's like, you know what, let me try and push myself, or let me try and pitch myself to them? Or do you just want to walk up and shake their hand and thank them for the great job they did? Yeah, no, at an event like the Oscars, I'm not really trying to push my own stuff much. I'm just trying to soak it up and enjoy. I feel like people would recoil if you tried to, book them on your podcast at the Oscars or whatever. Or tell them about, hey, I'm on Spielberg. Chelsea on the 20th. Please tune in. I'm available for children's parties and film work. I'll do the voice. Exactly. Yeah. So you just try to soak it up and enjoy and kind of feel like you belong, even though you don't. You just want to feel like you belong. Right. It was an incredible thing. I did try to hit on Sally Field at the Oscars. She was not interested because she had just lost the Oscar and she was not in the mood. Right. But she looked great. Yeah, really. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, I totally know. Now, granted, she's a far cry from Smokey and the Bandit, but she still holds up, though. Dude, I would hit it in a heartbeat. She's 65 years young, and I would make her feel 62. Oh, there you go, man. So it's just cool, man. It's a privilege to be able to be around this stuff. It makes you feel like you're climbing in the right direction and you're getting things done in your career, and that's all you need from it, really, Right. I'd like to win an Oscar at some point or host the Oscars, but being invited as a drunken idiot is a close third. Right, dude, I'll take that any day of the week. Absolutely. So you've already done a couple of animated films. Any live action that you got coming up here? I have a movie coming out this year. It's in limited theatrical release, coming out soon, premieres in a couple weeks, called Dumbbells. I have a very small part in it. Due to a mix-up, I was going to have a bigger part in it, and there was a mix-up. My tape that the producers and the writer of the film wanted me for a bigger role, the tape got lost. It didn't get sent to the right place. I didn't get the role, and he cast it, and then he still gave me a smaller role. So I have a pretty small role in it, but it's Dumbbells starring Brian Drolet and Marcia Monroe from Heart of Dixie, and Tom Arnold, and Fabio has an interesting role in it. I think my buddy John Huck's in it. Oh, yeah, Huck's in it, exactly. Yeah, Huck's a good buddy of mine, too. We worked together here in Vegas years ago on The Real Wedding Crashers. We were Yep, that's how I met him. Oh, really? When he came dude, that's funny. That's exactly when I met him. That's funny, yeah. And then who else did, Carl Reiner's in it, and Jay Moore, and, it's a great cast of people. So I'll be in that coming out soon. And then I got another project that is in the works, but I can't really talk about it yet. But I think it's a part of, let's say it'll be the third film in a trilogy of films that people really enjoy. Right. That I'm going to have a part coming up in, so I'm excited to not tell you what that is right now. Cool. Yeah. I'm excited to find out when you're ready to tell me. That's absolutely right, man. So, I was talking to you off the air here. You're always on Twitter. You're always posting where you're going to be, and you're never home. Never. I'm not home that often. Yeah. That's true. How hard is that to kind of, okay, for starters, when it comes to relationships with women, for starters, you're a comedian. That's hard right off the bat. Yeah. Second off, you're on television, and you got to have a strong-willed woman to know that you're not going to stray away when you have all these other girls throwing themselves at you. Right. And then third, you're on the road. I mean, how hard is that? And then fourth, I'm on Chelsea Handler's show, where every time there's any personal fact in my life that Chelsea gets wind of, she broadcasts it to the country. Right. And literally puts me on blast in front of international audiences. That makes it harder because the girls see that. Right. For example, give me an Well, I'll give you one example. Is I was dating these two girls at the same time a while ago. Oh.
And Chelsea's a personal friend of mine, so I figured I could share that with my personal friend in personal time off camera. And then literally like 2 months later, we're on the air just recently, a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, and we're talking about whatever, some random celebrity topic, probably talking about Miley Cyrus, and she cuts me off mid-joke, and she goes, "Whatever happened to those 2 girls you were dating?" And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure it's 0 girls now, Chelsea. Thanks so much. She's like, oh, I forgot we're on TV right now. So that's one example. Or last night, the episode that aired just last night on Chelsea Lately, she came out, or she had Chris Frangiola come out and surprise me during the roundtable with a story about how he used to date this girl that I hang out with as well, and with photos and a full breakdown, and I didn't even know that was going to happen on the air, to which I came out of that breakdown by Chris, and I said, I hate being on this show.
Right.
Which I don't. I love it, but
sometimes
they do sometimes throw you curveballs.
Now, when they do throw you a curveball, and let's just say, and there's no way that you got to be happy about what's going on here. I'm sure there's been a couple of times where it's gone too far, but at the same time, though, you do know that it's a great opportunity, and it's a great honor to be one of the stars on that show. Has there ever been any times where you're just like, like you just got to sit there and how hard is it just kind of keep it in? Well,
sometimes you got to swallow. I mean, I try and throw it back these days when I can. And, there are worse things to be said about you on TV. Like in that instance, luckily, I was not dating those 2 girls anymore. I was dating one of the 2 only, and I told her about the other girl, so it's not like I did anything wrong. But it could have been potentially disastrous.
Right.
But, it's a small price to pay, and, I don't think they're ever doing anything too malicious. They're just trying to have fun, and they don't, whatever. It's my life's pretty much an open book. I don't have much to hide. I'm not ever trying to, get one over on anybody. So it's such a fun thing being on that show.
Isn't that what makes such a great comic, though, is the fact that you don't have too much to hide?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's like, because I have found that the guys who, or just comics in general, who just kind of keep it inside and they keep all their embarrassing moments to themselves and don't really bring it up, they get lumped in with everyone else.
Right.
Like, you definitely have to let everyone know that, look, I mess up just as much as you do.
Totally.
Because that lets everyone know that, hey, he's just like me.
Totally. And then the other benefit of laying it out on the table is that you lay it out on the table so people come to expect, if they're going to hang with you, they're going to expect that you're going to have an unconventional relationship or an unconventional life. And if they want to sign up for it, great. If they don't have to. But you don't have to have all this subterfuge and, like, things that you're trying to hide or wish you could be doing. I just do and say what I want to do, and I put it all up there up front. But, I'm sure it's hard for girls to date somebody who's on the road a lot, like the other part of your question. That can't be the best thing. But also, space is important for a relationship as well. And, I actually read that piece of what I called the wisdom of Miley Cyrus in her Rolling Stone interview. She had a great quote. She's like, she learned a lot about relationships from her parents. Sometimes her dad wants to go down to Nashville for a month. He just goes. And doesn't affect his relationship with his wife. And she said, you don't have to be attached to the fucking hip all the time.
Right.
You don't have to be.
No.
It's not healthy to be. And absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So, you just find that balance, and whatever combo works for you. Some comics get married to their high school sweetheart early, and some comics will stay single until they're 85 years old.
Right.
Hopefully I'm going to be a nice happy medium closer to the front end of that, because that sounded depressing as I said it.
Now, you were named. I saw that you were named one of Esquire's top 6 comics to watch.
Yeah.
When that came out,
yeah,
was that one of those articles that's like things are gonna change?
It was, actually. That was a great moment. That was just psychologically for me. I don't know how much it changed. In fact,
how long were you doing it before that happened?
I was doing it a long time already. I mean, I think that came out maybe in 2007 or 2008. I'd already been doing stand-up for a solid, 7 years at that point. I already, built quite a repertoire of stuff and hopefully a basket of skills that I could use. And I felt like I was doing good, and I was headlining clubs around the country. And I was already on Chelsea Lately, I believe. Yeah, I was. But to have that kind of validation from such a respected publication, it's a respected name it's a respected brand name, and they lumped me in with some unbelievable people on that list. It made me just feel like, okay, because always in comedy, I feel like at any moment you can feel on top of the world, and the next moment you feel like you're so far from your goals and from what you want to accomplish. And both are always true. There's, you have accomplished a lot, and there's so much more that you want to accomplish, and it's on both sides of the coin at all times. But sometimes, comics in general don't always feel like they're respected much. It's the classic Dangerfield scenario. We generally are the outcasts in high school, or the nerds, or the guys that weren't able to talk to girls, didn't have weren't the popular kids. And I think that always stays with you a little bit, that sense that you have to prove yourself. You don't quite fit in with the coolest crowds, even in the comedy game, full of these former nerds or still nerds who are trying to make their lives in this niche of comedy. You still want to be respected or lumped in with the greats and with the cool kids. Right. And to be on a list with some of the great people that I respect so much made me feel like it's going to be all right. Like, some people are recognizing what I'm doing out there as something interesting and unique and funny and original, and gave me a lot of confidence that, I'm going to eventually get to where I need to be, where I want to be.
You were talking about comics who are always feel like they're not getting enough respect. Yeah. And one of your good friends, and somebody who's taken you on tour many times, Dane Cook. Yeah. There's never been a guy that I can recall in the last few years that came out like gangbusters. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you hit the top, there's so many people just start to hate you. Yeah. How do you think that would happen with you? Like, let's just say, boom, all of a sudden, Ben Gleib sold out arenas all across the country, and then all of a sudden all these haters start attacking you. Like, how do you think you would handle that?
I mean, it's, of course, never fun to have haters. Dane's had to deal with it. I remember Whitney Cummings told me that when she had her show on NBC, she loved it and it was a great experience, but the amount of hate that also came at her. I feel like anytime you're doing something that's very mainstream or very much thrown in the public eye, you're going to get people having a feeling of backlash towards you and trying to take you down. But I think it's mostly, honestly, out of their own insecurity. They don't really hate you. They don't really think you're like the least funny human being on earth or whatever they're writing on Twitter. Maybe they do, and if they do, that's their opinion. Maybe they're also just trying to take you down a notch because you're on top. And, as many people have said it before, if you can't make an omelet if you don't break a couple eggs. And if you're not doing something that a lot of people don't like, if you're pleasing everybody, you're not doing anything that interesting.
I've always felt that way, because if you're not pissing someone off, if you're trying to make everyone like you, then you're not doing your job. Sure. All you're going to do is just blend in with everyone, and you're not going to stand out.
And that's a struggle because, I think a lot of comics are people pleasers too. It is a struggle. Because you want to get those laughs and you want people to like you. And so sometimes you have an instinct to not do things that are going to antagonize people. And sometimes when I get haters on Twitter, most people, the conventional wisdom is to ignore them. Right. But I'll actually reply to them and try to disprove their hate or try to make them feel bad about what they said. Right. And oftentimes I'll confront them and be like, my bad, haha, funny, and then maybe they're a fan again now. Right. Maybe that's, maybe I need to just let go of it and not care so much. But you can't, that's just in the reaction to the art, and you can handle that however you want. But in the creation of your art, you just can't worry about who you're going to offend. Right. It's just going to make your art too safe and what you do too safe. So I think that you just need to let loose, and I would love to be selling arenas and having millions of people hate me. That would be unbelievable. That would be an embarrassment of riches. Kings have haters, man. It doesn't have haters, paupers. Yeah, because they don't know anybody and no one's buying tickets to their king shows.
All right, I'm going to remember that.
I don't even know what a king show is.
I'm not even sure what a pauper is, but you know what?
Like a poor
person. Yeah,
pauper.
I call them poor people.
Well, you're using a very insulting term. I'm using an old school kind of royal term to describe poor people.
Still means the same thing.
It does. It means the same thing. Exactly.
It's like special needs and retarded. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's all semantics. It's like little person and midget. Right. And I honestly think midget's way less offensive than little person. Why would you want to qualify the kind of person? I'm not even a full person. Right. I'm a little person. I'm a miniature person.
You're letting everyone know that you acknowledge the fact that you're not like they are.
That you're not a full person. Midget's just a descriptor. Yeah. I'm white, I'm Jewish, you're a Gooch. Yes. But we're all humans.
Somewhat.
And the midgets are saying, we prefer to not be called humans. Qualify the term human. We're mini humans.
Yes.
weird to me.
Hold out the tape measure. Let me let you know how much of a human I am.
Yeah, but I've had the privilege in my career of working with quite a few little people.
Right.
You know, Chewy on Chelsea lately, Brad Williams, a good buddy of mine, and they're very lovely people.
Right.
Very lovely people. They are funny. They're talented. They'll eat snacks right out of your hand. I mean, there's a lot of positives.
All right. One last question here. On your Wikipedia,
Yeah.
I saw on the very bottom
Yeah.
a person named Brandon Davis, comedian, punched you in the face over an argument about who's more oily.
He's not a comedian, that guy.
Oh, he's not? Okay.
No.
What is he?
I don't know. That guy he's like, I don't think he does anything for a job.
So you just found out his name and just put it out there?
I guess, yeah. I mean, things appear on your Wikipedia page.
I was about to say, because the thing is, though, is you are very misleading with some of your jokes, and I'm not sure exactly if I'm part of the joke or if I'm being had. Just like yesterday, for example, I saw a fake article about 37 people dying from marijuana overdose. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hey, this is gonna be great, and I put it on there. Next thing you know, it's a hoax. It's a hoax. Now people are attacking me. They're using YOUR instead of YOU''RE at me, and it's driving me crazy. But
I don't see how that grammar thing ties in, but okay.
Right. No, well, that's the people that are calling me dumb are using the wrong grammar.
They're using the wrong grammar. Gotcha.
So, but Brandon Davis, though, this individual, were you the one that put that in your Wikipedia page?
No. That appeared spontaneously on my Wikipedia page. I don't really have much to say about that incident, but people, you can feel free to Google it and make your own conclusions. But yeah, I had an interesting night one night out in Hollywood that ended in a very, very weird way.
Right.
And I don't know if he was involved, this man, okay? I don't know if he was involved. I know I ended up with a broken nose that night.
Jesus.
And, but I don't even know if he was there. I don't know that he's the one that did it. I was knocked out cold by a sucker punch that I didn't see coming. And the thing when you don't see a punch coming is you don't know who did it.
Right, and that's the
because
worst
you
part.
didn't see it.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
Yeah, that is the worst part. But my nose is looking good again.
Very lovely nose.
Thank you very much for saying that. I feel like it's even better than my tongue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean.
Thank you very much. And you move forward.
Right.
You move. You slog on into another dream.
And that's
into another day.
And that's what we've learned here with Ben Gleib.
Yeah.
He's a giver to the people of Sri Lanka.
That's exactly right.
He's a voice actor. He's a real actor.
Right.
He loves little people / midgets. He's not sure what you want to be called.
Yeah,
but he's going to call you what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll call him what I want, probably.
Yeah, right. He's a lover.
Yeah.
Sometimes of two women at once. Sometimes, on occasion.
I'm not going to deny that.
Yes.
And but the moral of the story, Gooch, is when you put yourself out there and you live a life in the public eye like we choose to do, yourself included, it's not always going to be controllable. You're not always going to get the outcome you want. People are going to react in strange ways, be it publicly in your face or on the internet. Mm-hmm. You got to have a thick skin because if you have a specific goal, specific mission in mind, you can't be sidetracked by all the bullshit.
Exactly.
Missions cannot be affected by bullshit.
When is Ben Gleib going to write a book?
I'm actually working on a book.
Right on.
I'm working on a book, actually. I'm hoping to finish it this year and get it published.
Well, all right. So we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
So let's go down the list here. We already covered Ben Gleib, comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Gleib, humanitarian.
I do my best.
Ben Gleib, broadcaster.
Yep.
Ben Gleib, actor.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Gleib, voice actor.
Yep.
And now?
TV host. I do that also.
TV host.
I do some things with the Game Show Network, and I'm pitching some shows.
Game show host.
Yeah.
Television show pitcher.
Yep.
And
author. Soon to be author.
Soon to be author.
Yeah. Mother of five.
Mother of five. Children. Lots of yoga had to have taken place, or did they just give you a C-section?
Bikram hot yoga. No, I do C-sections. I want my vagina to always be as tight as possible because much like my set, there's no room for anything too loose in there. I want it all to be just boom, boom, boom,
right,
boom.
Right.
A lot of punchlines.
Jesus.
In my pussy.
Right.
You understand what I mean by that, though?
I totally
Metaphorically.
I totally know what you mean.
Metaphorically.
Well, thank you, Ben Gleib. Once
Gooch,
again.
Always a pleasure.
You can catch him on his podcast, Last Week on Earth, available on Smodcast, iTunes, Stitcher.
Yep.
He's also one of the many regulars, one of the stars of Chelsea Lately. You'll hear bits and pieces of his personal life from time to time that he wasn't exactly sure how the word got out.
It's true.
But
I'm doing correspondent piece for the Arsenio Hall show now as well.
Oh, really? Yeah. Correspondence with Arsenio Hall?
It's true.
He's got a book coming out, and he's got a brand new animated film. Kevin Smith's animated film. You want to throw the name out of that real
Jay
fast?
and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie. But listen, this is all too much to remember. Just follow me on the internet. Follow me on Twitter, Vine, Feed, Instagram. All of it's at Ben Gleib. I keep it simple.
Right on, man. Right on. But you keep it simple, but at the same time, you keep reaching for that next piece of the ladder, the next brick.
That's how simplicity works. If you can keep it complex, you're going to be chutes and ladders all over the place and too many ups and downs.
I understand, brother. Well, thank you very much for stopping by Rise to Offend. Thank you, Ben Gleib.
Anytime, keep it Gooch.